When you're stressed, porn can easily become a fast escape. Repeat that often enough, and your brain starts reaching for porn automatically when things feel too much. That is the relapse loop. I'm a certified porn recovery coach, and I've helped men break that loop and build real control with a practical system they can use in real life, especially when stress is high and discipline is low. By the end of this video, you'll have a simple 4R system to catch the pattern earlier, lower the pressure, and stop stress from pulling you back into shame, secrecy, and another relapse. There's a go with the flow type of casualness that gets brothers into trouble all the time. So if you want to stop relapsing, you can't just fight porn in the moment. You have to notice the danger signs earlier. You have to think of your porn relapses like a man using painkillers to keep walking on a broken leg. If you ignore the deeper injury underneath, you'll keep numbing the pain while making the real damage worse. You can't do anything about an issue if you're not aware it's a problem in the first place. So the first step is just to be conscious and recognize that stress is a key trigger that makes up a large portion of your relapses. I just want you guys to be mindful of this. And even better, I want it to be like that phenomena where, for example, you buy a car, and after buying that car, you can't stop noticing that same model everywhere you go. So, practically, I want you to be able to catch yourself when you're in a moment and porn thoughts are dominating. Be curious and ask yourself, how are my stress levels at the moment? And more often than not, just by being able to connect those dots and accurately diagnose that you are in a stress state is incredibly disarming to your porn crutch. Now, what's even better than being able to recognize you're in a stress mood is to not be stressed as much as possible. So, the second R is reduce. Reduce your stress levels. And there's no bigger influence on your stress levels than sleeping well and ensuring you have your required 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Because when you're well rested, you increase your capacity to deal with life's challenges and become more resistant to being tempted by impulse behaviors that temporarily numb your emotions and have you running to porn to escape them. Stress is part and parcel of existing in this dunya. Therefore, we just have to have healthier outlets to release these stresses. The best stress reliever is physical movement. Walking and getting your heart rate up to 110 beats per minute generally gets people to the state where endorphins are released. And those good feelings are flushing the stress out of your body. If you can't go for a quick walk, you can do structured breathing, focusing on just your breath, which is incredibly effective, almost too effective. So just don't fall asleep. Socializing with friends, whilst might be seen as more of a luxury as you get on in life, is important. We all remember COVID lockdowns and how important this is to emotional well-being. And it almost goes without being said that you, being a married Muslim man, have access to something that our single brothers who are struggling with porn do not have, which is seeking intimacy with your wife. Now, I know this video has been about stress, but you need to be able to read your emotional state to even be able to detect that you are stressed. So, this is the most important step out of the 4R system. Because we live in such a fast paced world and people are struggling to slow things down and check in with themselves, this has become a non negotiable skill to overcome porn addiction, especially since most adult porn use is being used to mask underlying problems. It's like doing an oil check on your car before the engine blows up. And there are many ways you can develop your ability to read your emotional state. So just choose what you're most likely to stick to or enjoy. So there's journaling, and even if you hate writing, you can use voice to text. Not being able to read your emotional state is a porn addiction sentence. So, in case you need it, I'm giving you permission to get to know your feelings from one bro to another bro. Let me show you a real example. This is Zaid. He thought he'd been helplessly wired to lust, so he kept trying to fight harder every time he'd get thoughts. But that was never the real issue. Underneath his relapses were stresses he didn't know how to read. Feeling like he was disappointing his mother, feeling behind in life, and feeling inferior because all of the warped ideas he'd picked up online about manhood and success. So when those stresses boiled over, porn became his escape because for a moment it helped him not feel those emotions. That is why his old approach kept failing. He was fighting the surface level urges without understanding the underlying problem. But when we switched to the 4R system, he learned to recognize the stress, reduce it before it peaked, release it without using porn, and read the emotions underneath it. And once he did that, the pattern finally started to break. Now, it might sound a bit complicated, but all you have to take away from this video is that there's a sensitive point for you stress wise, and you have to find out what that is. Whatever that is, that's the beginning of your 4Rs. And you can go and do that today. Now you understand the 4R system. But if you don't know your relapse window, you're still fighting blind. Watch this next video and I'll show you exactly how to spot the window where your relapses are most likely to happen.